Let's take a look at some of the final homework problems from section 1.2. And for question 10F, I need to find the least common multiple. However, I'm given three numbers, 6, 12, and 15. So the strategy is going to be a little bit different, but we still start off with a division statement. So think of a number that divides 6, 12, and 15. Well, we should pick the number 3. All right, so 3 definitely divides all three of those numbers. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4, and 15 divided by 3 is going to be 5. Now, normally, this is where you would stop because you can't find a number that divides 2, 4, and 5 at the same time. However, when you're given three numbers, and if you need to find the least common multiple, you need to continue to divide if at least two of the numbers are still divisible by a common number. All right, so is there a number that divides 2 and 4? The answer is yes. The number I'm thinking of is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. And the number 5, this number is not divisible by 2, so we can just bring it down as a 5. Okay, now this is where we can officially stop because there's nothing else we can divide all three of those numbers by. There's no factors left. So our least common multiple now is going to be 3, 2, 1, 2, and 5. So I need to multiply the outside numbers and the bottom numbers there. So if I do 3 times 2 times 1 times 2 times 5, I'm going to get 60. So my least common multiple here, so the least common multiple between 6, 12, and 15 is going to be 60. And once again, we're just multiplying the outside numbers and the bottom numbers to get 60. All right, so that's a trick to find the least common multiple when you're given three numbers there. All right, so let's give this a try with a few more problems here. I have 12, 16, and 24. Okay, so a number that divides all three of those numbers is probably going to be 2. So 12 divided by 2 is going to be 6. 16 divided by 2 is going to be 8. And 24 divided by 2 is going to be 12. And I can continue dividing these numbers here because the number that divides 6, 8, and 12 is going to be 2. So it's going to be 3, 4, and 6. And as you can see, normally this is a good sign to stop. However, I notice that two of my numbers, I can still continue to break those numbers down. So a number that divides into 4 and 6 is going to be 2. Now, since this 3 is not divisible by 2, I can bring down the 3 as is, so 3. And then 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2, and 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. All right, and now I can see there's a 3 here and a 3 there, so let's continue breaking this down by dividing this by 3 now. So 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. This 2 is not divisible by 3, so I can bring that down as a single 2. And then 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. All right, so there you go. I have my numbers here. And in order to find my least common multiple now, I need to consider this 2, that 2, this 2, this 3, this 1, this 2, and that 1. And I need to multiply all those numbers together. And if I do that, I get 48. So the least common multiple of 12, 16, and 24 is going to be 48. And I get 48 by multiplying all those green numbers, right? So all those green numbers are left over. If I multiply that out, I do get 48. Okay. All right, let's do one more here. 20, 36, and 48. So a number that divides 20, 36, and 48 right now is going to be 2. So 20 divided by 2 is going to be 10. 36 divided by 2 is going to be 18. And 48 divided by 2 is going to be 24. Okay. All right, so we can still divide this. A number that divides 10, 18, and 24, we can use 2 again. So 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. 18 divided by 2 is going to be 18 divided by 2 is going to be 9. And 24 divided by 2 is going to be 12. Okay, so normally we would stop here. However, I noticed that the 9 and 12, I can continue to break that down. So a number that divides 9 and 12 is going to be 3. Now this 5 is not divisible by 3, so we just bring it down. And then we can continue here. 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3, and 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. And this is where I can stop now because There's no number that divides all three of those numbers. There's no number that divides at least two of those numbers. So this is where I can officially stop. And once again, my least common multiple is going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 3 times 4. And that's going to be about 720. Sorry, my pen's just not really working well right here. So the least common multiple is going to be 720 for that particular problem. Okay, let's keep on moving along here then. Let's go on to some of the word problems now. So we have 2 more word problems, and then we can finish off this homework video guide. For question number 12, Mercury, Venus, and Earth revolve around the Sun every 3, 7, and 12 months respectively. If the 3 planets are currently lined up, how many months will pass before this happens again? Okay, so if I take a look at Mercury, it rotates around the Sun every 3 months. So if I write out the multiples of 3, I get 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and I keep on going until I get to 84. And the reason why I stop at 84 is because if I look at Venus, Venus is rotating around the Sun every 7 months. So the multiples of 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and I keep on going, and eventually I get to 84, which is the common one there. And for Earth, Earth rotates around the Earth every 12 months. And if I go ahead and write out the multiples of 12 here, as you can see, the common number that comes up is 84. So after 84 months, Earth, Venus, and Mercury will be lined up at the same position. So it takes 84 months for these 3 planets to line up where they started. And obviously we can find the answer here by writing out the multiples of 3, 7, and 12. And what I'll do next is I'll show you the quicker way to do this problem, and that's by writing out the months that are given to us, which are 3, 7, and 12. And essentially, we're just looking for the least common multiple, right? So a number that divides 3, 7, and 12. Well, I don't see anything right now. So there's 3 and 12. Let's see if we can find a number that divides at least 2 out of the 3 numbers, and that's going to be 3, right? So 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. 7 is not divisible by 3, so I can bring that down as a 7. And 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. Okay, and what we can do next is if I multiply 3 times 1 times 7 times 4, that also gives you the 84. All right, so that's a faster way to solve that particular problem, as long as you recognize that it's a least common multiple problem. Okay, let's move on to the final question for this homework video guide. Question number 15. There are 6 players. So there are 6 players on a volleyball team. There are 9 players on a baseball team, and there's 11 players on a soccer team. Okay, what is the smallest number of students in a school that can be split evenly into any of the 3 teams? Okay. So let's start off by looking at the 6 players on the volleyball team. If I write out the multiples of 6, I get 6, 12, 18, 24, and then I keep on going, and I'll stop at 198. And that's because if there's 9 players on the baseball team, and if I write out the multiples of 9, I have 9, 18, 27, 36, and I keep on going until 198. That's the common one. And for 11 players on a soccer team, the multiples of 11 are 11, 22, 33, and I keep on going, and I eventually get to 198. So 198 is the least common multiple of 6, 9, and 11. All right, so the answer here is 198. What I'll do is I'll show you another quicker way to get to the answer of 198, and then I want to further explain what 198 really means in this problem here. Okay, so let me erase all this. And how do I get 198 a little bit faster? Okay, well, the numbers that are given to me in this problem are 6, 9, and 11. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to create a division statement here. And right now, I can't think of a number that divides all 3 of the numbers, but since we're dealing with least common multiple and we have 3 numbers here, we just need to examine at least 2 out of the 3 numbers. And if I look at 6 and 9, a number that divides 6 and 9 is going to be 3. All right, so 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3, And since 11 is not divisible by 3, I can bring it down as 11. Okay, now my answer is now 3 times 2 times 3 times 11. So if I multiply all those numbers, 3 times 2 times 3 times 11, that gives me 198. All right, so that's a faster way to get 198. Now, what does 198 really mean in this problem? Well, it's the smallest number of students that the school can have so that the kids can be split evenly into any of the 3 teams. Okay, so once again, it's the smallest number of students in a school so that the kids can be split evenly into any of the 3 teams. All right, so if there's 6 players on the volleyball team, right, if I take 198 and divide it by 6, 198 divided by 6 is going to be 33. So what that means is we can have 33 volleyball teams that all have at least 6 players. Okay. If I have 9 players on the baseball team, if I take 198 and divide it by 9, that gives me 22. So what that means is I can have 22 baseball teams where all teams have at least 9 players. Okay, so we've used up 198 completely. And finally, if there's 11 players on a soccer team, if I do 198 divided by 11, that gives me 18. So if I use all of the 198 kids in the school and divide them into a soccer team, I would have 18 total soccer teams, and each team would have 11 players. So once again, 198, what does that really mean? It's the smallest number of students in a school that can be split evenly into any of the 3 teams. All right, so we need at least 198 kids to satisfy 6 players on the volleyball team, 9 players on the baseball team, and 11 players on the soccer team. All right, so that's it for this homework video guide.